What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today, you guys didn't really think that I was gonna get the Strike Freedom Type 2 and not get the Proud Defender set, did you? So we're gonna be taking a look at that today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we have inside here. So it looks like we do have another paper manual. Doesn't look like there's much since this is just gonna be a backpack. Hopefully this won't be a super long review, but you never know when it comes to me. I expect them to be like 10-15 minutes, they end up going for 30. So that's the manual there. We've got the Proud Defender here. Looks like you have another V-fin with the disruptor that's open there. Looks like you've got another adapter for these effect parts here. So you've got that, and then it looks like you have his katana here. And looks like you've got another part. It's either for the engine or the thruster or something. So you've got those there. And then you've got more parts for that effect. All right, so you've got those there. Those look pretty cool there. And then it looks like you've got some more effect parts there. And looks like you've got the stand, a mini stand there. It says compass with the Proud Defender, the MDE 262S Proud Defender. So pretty simple in the box. So what we will do is we will start taking the stuff apart, and we'll take a look at the Proud Defender next. So let's take a look at this Proud Defender here. So there's not much to this release. It's pretty much just a backpack. And so you will put this little piece here on. It's just pretty simple. You just kind of snap it in there. And overall, I think it does look pretty good. Of course, I already have the katana in there. Now what you do, for at least what I did, was I slid it all the way in like this versus trying to put it down from the top, because you don't have a lot of clearance room here. So I would just be cognizant of that, how that works there. So just slide it in versus trying to push it in there from the top there. So, but other than that, he looks really, really good. You can put this on a stand. So this is just the two pieces here for that. So we'll just do it like this here. And then this does look like that's on a ratchet. I'm quite surprised by that. So you do have that, and then it looks like this just plugs here into the bottom. And so if you want the Strike Freedom by itself and then have the Proud Defender as a separate set, you can do that. So it does have its own little stand there. So, you know, that's pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting that. But overall, I mean, it looks nice for the wings. So let me go ahead and take this thing off, and as you see, this part just decided to stay on there, but we'll keep that off for now. So you can see this now. Speaking of that, that's what I wanted to go over. These gold pieces here. So you have these gold pieces here, here, and here. There's supposed to be 4, but what I've noticed is that these tend to want to come off pretty easily. So they're not really secured in there all that well. So let me try to put this back in here and see if we can get that. Yeah, and they just they don't really even snap in there. It's just like a groove that it fits in. And so unfortunately, I think just by opening this thing, these have come out at least 3 or 4 times. And you see how they're pretty loose like that? They don't really hold very well. So I don't know about that, but I would say that the chrome plating on it is definitely very, very good. So you do have that for both sides there. And then, like I said earlier, these have come off as well. So it doesn't really matter which side. Now this was brand new when I bought it. So it had not been opened, still sealed. So we didn't have any worries about that. But so that's your Proud Defender. So it does look pretty good there. So I think it'll be a good addition to this Strike Freedom Type 2. But yep, I would just say just be a little bit cognizant of these, because these tend to want to flap around. So you may see those falling off as you continue to mess with them. So now what we'll do is we will get the Strike Freedom out, and we will put him together and see what he looks like with the Proud Defender on. So here we have the mighty Strike Freedom. So this is the Strike Freedom Type 2 plus the Proud Defender backpack. So he looks really, really good. I do like the chrome plating in here on the wings here, but like I said earlier, these are a little bit floppy, so they don't really like to stay in place. They're really not tight there. So you do have that. It's not really difficult. Really, all you're doing is pulling the old one off and putting this one on. So there's not really much to it here. So I think that that looks really, really good. Now we do have him having the katana out. So you do have that with one of his beam sabers. So I'm using the hands from the original set there. And then we also have him with the Disruptor head cannon there. Very Double Zeta-esque. So he does have that. Now you don't have one that opens and closes. This one is open and then the other one is closed. So the closed one comes with the original set. The open one comes with the Proud Defender set. So they did not put that in both sets. So that's unfortunate. But I think overall, I think it does look really, really good. So he does look very, very nice in this. There's not really much to it. It's quite simple. It's just really him with another backpack. And especially in the Seed universe, we're pretty used to that, especially with the Strike and some of the other mobile suits, the Impulse and all of that in there. So he does look really, really nice. So what I'm gonna do lastly is we are going to put the effect parts on him. And so we're gonna do that next. So here is the mighty Strike Freedom doing his electronic attack. I'm not sure what this attack is called, but it does look very, very nice. I will say that it is a pain to put on, and I'm gonna tell you why, but I think overall, as far as its look, it looks spectacular. So there's not really much to not like, especially if you've seen the Gundam Seed Freedom movie. We all know what happens in that movie now. I think we don't have to worry about spoilers or anything at this point, but I'm gonna tell you what the problem is here. And the problem is with this plastic piece that holds all of these little individual pieces here. As you can see, you get 4 for both sides, and they kind of branch up like a tree. Now, what I've found is that with some of them kind of get tangled together. Some of them get tangled into the wings and things of that nature. And so if you want to adjust this, this is held together by 2 parts here. And what it is, anytime you try to put any pressure on these things, these don't go in very deep and they just fall off. I had this thing fall off camera probably about 10 to 15 times before I was able to get it to look the way that I wanted it to look. And the thing is, of course, once you kind of get it set up and then you want to kind of adjust things, you really can't do that, because you put any kind of weight on this back piece here, this thing is coming off. This whole entire piece will come off. And so that is very, very annoying to have to deal with. And also with this piece here, the plastic piece that goes into the bottom part of the engine, you have to take a piece of the engine off in order to plug that in there. But what I've noticed is that this thing spins on here. And so what that tells me is that this is not on tight enough. And I don't know why they did it that way. Or maybe they want you to be able to kind of turn it and things of that nature. So maybe it wasn't a flaw, but maybe that was a feature. So I don't know as far as that, but I don't like the fact that it's kind of hard to kind of get it centered in a way. And then of course you put any kind of pressure on these things, the entire back piece is falling off, and then it's a pain just because of how these two are so close together. If you see where the wings are, the bottom connection piece is right underneath it. So if you try to adjust this in any way, you're gonna put pressure on this back piece and it's just gonna fall off entirely. And so it was extremely annoying, but I will say that the payoff for it does look very, very well done. How this works, I think if you were going to do this as a display piece, this is probably the way that you would want to have the Mighty Strike Freedom displayed. So I think it does look very, very nice, even though it is annoying to put together and annoying to put on somewhat. So now that we're done with this, now we'll go to final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, this is the complete form of the Strike Freedom Type 2, which is the Mighty Strike Freedom. So this Proud Defender effect part set, I would say that if you do own the Metal Robots Strike Freedom Type 2, definitely pick this up. I think you would want him in his kind of completed form that we saw in the movie. So it would depend on the price on whether I would recommend that you pick it up though. I think that this is going for roughly about, I've seen it anywhere between $150 and $250. I think $250 for just this set is way too high. I would say if you can find it around $150, I would say that that's probably gonna be the sweet spot for you with this guy, considering that this guy is pretty small. I think I will definitely be interested to see what Bandai does in the metal builds line for this guy though. I think that this has a lot of good stuff, but the problems that I have with it is that it's not tight enough. And by that I mean you have a lot of loose parts on this Proud Defender set. Whether it's the gold accent parts, that those are constantly coming off. Anytime you move the gold accent wings, that should have been done a lot better than it is here. I would say that the special effect parts for like the electric shock attack thing that the Mighty Strike Freedom has, those are nice. However, the connection piece where it connects onto the backpack, that is extremely loose. And anytime you try to make any kind of adjustments to the wings, you're gonna have a problem with that falling off because it's just not a very secure way to have that done. So I definitely will be interested to see what the metal build line does with the Mighty Strike Freedom. I would say that it's like a 95% guarantee that they will do one. When it'll come out, who knows? Could be 2 years from now, could be 5 years from now, but I don't think with the way that the seed line sells, I don't expect them to hold off on that too long. So as far as a score, there's not really a score for this. With the original, I think I gave it a 9.4. I still would say that this is a 9.4 as well. It's just in its completed form, but I think that the gold accent part specifically and the special effect parts for this guy should have been done a little bit better. But as far as the articulation and all that stuff is still the same as the Strike Freedom Type 2. So I think that you have a really good set here. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.